I'm Timmy.
I'm Justin.
I'm Nathan.
And this is Three Old Tech Dudes. Well, guys, did you hear the news about the Arecibo Radio Telescope?
Yeah, someone had an oopsie. Part of it fell.
It dramatically fell.
It had a crunch.
Yes.
Ripped a hole through the dish. Wow.
I thought that was worthy of our time to bring that news. I mean, we're certainly not the first to bring it to YouTube. We'll have a little discussion.
Oh, no.
You know, I decided to look that up. It was a familiar image to me. I had seen it, I guess. I don't know where I'd seen it. But
It's in a lot of movies. So it's been in Contact. It's been in the James Bond movie. It's a popular movie scene thing.
Right.
So yeah, that and other radio telescopes around too, like the Very Large Array, which I've been there. That's pretty cool.
Oh wow.
You could drive to that one. You can't. This one's you have to cross an ocean to get to this. Well, across a good body of water anyway.
So this thing was a radio telescope or a radar telescope, you can say. It had a lot of things it could do.
It could track. It could use radar type stuff to track like satellites theoretically that were overhead and like asteroids and things like that. But yeah, it was used by a lot of different people. Like SETI used it. A lot of NASA stuff uses it. Yeah, it was.
This thing had 3 radar transmitters at the bottom of it. All right.
It's actually at the top. It's all at the top.
The transmitter's actually at the bottom of the dish. That's what Wikipedia
bottom of the dish.
So,
well, yeah, okay.
The stuff at the top, there was a lot of stuff up there, but that's the receivers. Yeah. Of course, I don't know how accurate that is, but this thing had an effective isotropic radiated power ability of 22 terawatts.
Yeah,
that's a lot of juice.
Yeah,
that's a lot of juice.
It could focus. Well, it did that by focusing it down.
Yep.
So the same way that like
gigahertz.
Yeah. So yeah, right in the middle here. So everyone with Wi-Fi got wiped out when that thing transit. Because it's right in the same range. So it works in the same principle like a high gain Yagi. So you may only put 10 watts into it, but the more you focus that down, the more powerful that effectively becomes. That's what's effective radiated power. Because you can do, I don't know what the gain on that dish is, but it's, what they say, 600 feet across. I have to go back and measure. That thing may be bigger than that. It's huge. It's a hollowed out like mountain volcano or something like that.
305 meters, whatever.
305 meters. Okay.
Roughly 1,000 feet.
Yeah, it's about 1,000 feet across.
Yeah.
There are videos of guys maintaining that thing there, and they wear what looks like big snowshoes so they don't punch a hole through the dish.
Sure.
I've seen that like way long time ago. The dish actually itself floats above the terrain. If you go below it, you can see all the old tree stumps they cut down to get. But it floats about, I can't remember, it's like 15 or 20 feet above the ground.
Depends on where you're at underneath it, yeah. So
probably, yeah. And the whole thing, it naturally creates that proper shape, because it's literally just suspended effectively by 3 corners.
Sure.
And then, and it's steel ropes and all that kind of stuff, the whole thing. Anyway, so yeah, it's actually pretty neat. The way they've done that, it's really, really cool. And most of the electronics are actually in the top floating above it. So they got the dish down here and it's floating above it.
Yeah, and that's what collapsed actually is You know,
Yeah, like
cable started to break, and then they said, "Well, we're gonna have to tear
Yeah.
it down. We can't fix it," but it tore itself down a month later. So,
Yeah.
So this fell
Yeah.
victim to a natural disaster, did it not?
no, it
Oh,
didn't
multiple
help
times. But
yeah.
the disasters, from what they're saying, though, they didn't think it actually was the cause of it, but it certainly did help.
Right. That's
At least
how I understood it too. It's
the last news piece I saw
Just
anyway of it.
after
So,
50 some years. They opened initially in 1964.
Yep.
The first discovery made with it was that the rotation period of the planet Mercury was not 88 days, but 59 days. I thought that was interesting. That was the first thing they found with it. So,
Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah,
scientifically,
oh, no.
that's a big thing. So, yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound like much. You go, well, how's this impact me in the world? Well, yeah, it's probably not. But if you're into science kind of stuff and, that
and
kind of
some
stuff,
other-
it's
I
really
guess
neat.
It's neat to know.
It's pretty, there's a lot of scientific facts out there that are kind of neat to know. Some of them are not, but some of them are, if you're really into astronomy, that's a pretty big one. But,
Sure.
radio telescopes, they are kind of neat the way they work, though. So,
Yeah, it played a part in finding the first extrasolar planets ever discovered around another star outside the solar system.
Yep.
It made the first radar observation of a comet.
Yep.
The very first binary pulsar was discovered with this dish.
Yeah, because pulsars were confusing to the guys who created the first radio telescopes. So, because they were like, what is this weird noise? They couldn't figure out what it was. And actually, I think it was a Bell telephone. I think they called it that's going to be wrong. I don't think it's a big, it used to be, I thought it was like the big ear or something, but it's like a big, it doesn't look like a radio telescope. It looks like a feed horn just going out into a big open section of the feed horn pointing up. Yeah, but that's some of the first ones. And who was it? Jansky? Not Jansky. Created one of the first, really, you'd recognize his radio. It built it in his backyard with a radio telescope and have a big parabolic dish. But this is a big parabolic dish. But they can't move the dish, but they can move the top part moves around, which is neat because it has like a sliding piece and then that can spin, actually, is what it is. But because it can't track from like edge of the horizon to edge of the horizon like you would think. It tracks in a very narrow band. But it's really, 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 really effective in that band.
Exactly. Yeah, for like 53 years, this was the biggest dish on the planet. It's since been surpassed by one they call FAST. It's an acronym, FAST, in China.
Yeah.
It basically operates the same way, except, and they've not finished it. It's not doing this yet, but it actually can change the direction of its dish, the actual components to change direction, but they have not really got that working yet. So
if you want to see one that's really neat, steerable, the dish itself moves, look up Green Bank Radio Telescope. That thing is ginormous. There's a picture of it that I've seen. I have somewhere, actually. I saved it because it was just pretty cool. But it was a picture of the dish with a bus, like school bus, tour bus sitting below it. And the tour bus is like tiny compared to like this gigantic thing. That's in West Virginia. I think it is. Or Virginia. Yeah, West Virginia.
wow.
Did
Did you know this thing was used to attempt to communicate with aliens?
Yes.
Yes.
This is what they use to transmit the signal.
Has that ever went well in any science fiction movie ever?
So that's actually a serious concern among some scientists, including Stephen Hawking. Actually, was like, this may not be such a good idea. Just saying.
Just throwing that out there. I mean,
it's too late now because in 1974 the Arecibo message was transmitted.
Yep.
Toward they basically
was
sent
it Alpha Centauri, or was it?
Well, they sent it to a large cluster of stars somewhere. It was that's about 25,000 light years away. They sent a pixel bitmap image with various things in it.
Yeah,
and it looks like something off of an 8-bit computer.
It kind of was, actually.
It basically was.
It really was.
They sent it to this cluster of stars that's 25,000 light years away. So the dish is gone and it's still on its way. It won't get there anytime soon. So,
well, true.
I'm going to go on record for saying I don't think I would make a good slave for an alien race. just throwing that out there.
I would agree.
He is too grumpy for that, man.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh my, yeah, that's really hilarious because I keep having to look over here because you guys are on my laptop here and the camera's there. I really shouldn't do that. So it's
Didn't playing your
up and
layout
down.
very well, huh?
At least
No, I
okay.
didn't.
I mean,
I
you kind
didn't
of have
think
like
about
a
that.
set looking thing there. I have the like my
Well,
ceiling.
this is like that's effects and two synthesizers are actually on that, but there's mainly effects processing and stuff like that. Of course, I got my DX7.
And lighting.
So,
Look at all that light. What's doing the stuff on the walls? Is that your neon stuff or is that something else?
It's a sun too.
Well, I've got neons up there. I've got just regular light here. And I actually put my if you can read that one there or not.
Pac-Man Fever.
Yeah, I got that in. So I've got 3 records now from
Sweet.
that I'm going to put into a big frame eventually.
We just got horribly sidetracked.
That's
Never
why this
do
isn't
that. I
a
can't
live.
imagine why. Yes, we're just giving Tim something to do. Sorry, Timmy in post.
Let's talk about the Arecibo Radio Telescope, or as I may just call it, the dish, and amateur radio. It was not used a lot for amateur radio, but they did some actually really successful moon bounce with this thing back in 1964. They used the call KP4BPZ, Bravo Papa Zulu.
Yep.
They made a dozen two-way contacts on 2 meters and 70 centimeters. A dozen.
Yeah.
Most people like to have one in their lifetime.
Yeah.
I have not achieved this goal.
We have in close proximity to Timmy right now an old satellite dish. We should do something with that.
We should.
What should we do with that?
We should do something with it.
I agree. I just don't know what.
Well,
can we build a telescope with it?
Yeah.
I want to use it for radio stuff. I mean, that is radio stuff, but I want to communicate with it. Just look at how stupid this thing is, you know?
So what you can do is you can put, because that's really designed for around the 2.4, 2.5 gigahertz band. So you can put like a Wi-Fi modem, literally the apex, and it will function. I mean, you should really build a better feed horn for it, but still, you could actually do that. You could turn that thing into a very, very powerful long distance Wi-Fi router.
Yeah, that actually would be really fun.
You could do that, and you could modify. You could modify it so it actually broadcast your ID, and your call sign and stuff like that. So yeah, that would actually be pretty cool. That'd be fun to try. I haven't done that in such a long time at this point. Last time I built one, I lived on the north side of town, so we're talking like 2000 range, somewhere long time,
plus or minus 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, they over the years it's been used a few times for moon bounce. It looks like usually with success. They received a lot of bounce off of it too that didn't result in actual communication, on 70 centimeters. So I thought that was fascinating. But yeah, it's a great loss. Kind of a great loss to the world to lose one of the only 2 giant dishes like this that are of that magnitude of size. There's other sites, sure, but around.
Yeah.
But
well, there are many radio telescopes in the world. For example, SETI actually built their own.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't have to lease
the SETI site is the only place with a radar now. After this one failed, none of the others do the radar stuff. So and the SETI stuff. I mean, I used to do that. The SETI on your PC where you go through and it'd look for stuff. And it was like a real neat background. I thought it was pretty cool. But then they really made it like really hard to use and complicated. And I just said, okay, no. But yeah, that's decades ago at this point. Sure. Well, that's about all we have for this dish, I guess. So it's a sad thing to lose in the world.
It really is. From a scientific standpoint, it's a very sad thing to lose.
There's other stuff going on at that observatory as well besides that dish, so it'll still be around the site. So yeah, I think it's possible they could rebuild it. So yeah, hopefully they will. Until next time, I'm Timmy.
I'm Justin.
I'm Nathan.
And this is 3 Old Tech Dudes.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on 3 Old Tech Dudes. Please subscribe to us here on YouTube for more tech old and new, tinkering at the workbench, repairs, ham radio, electronics, computers, and more. Please like this video and share 3OTD with your friends to help us grow the channel. We tweet at 3 Old Tech Dudes 1 on Twitter, and you can keep up with us on Facebook. Just search for 3OTD and look for our logo. Thanks so much for watching.